This is the BlackSwarm podcast, baby. We're raw.
And welcome to the Week 8 edition of the BlackSwarm podcast. Hank Pfeiffer here with Rob Antonell, getting into the heart of football season, Squat-tober. Hope everybody's getting their heavy back squats in. I'm right up top going to apologize if I violently cough into or around this microphone tonight. Not feeling too hot, but we're podcasting through it. You know, some people might call me a hero for that. Not my words, but people are saying.
It's not true.
You know what? Like I said, I'm not saying it, but people are saying.
Okay. They're not.
There are people out there, I'm sure.
Just not about you.
People are saying.
People are saying.
Moving along. Right off rip, like, if y'all want us to talk about anything next week, since really all there is a JV game against the Canadian prep team, not necessarily going to be much content, so, you know, tell us what you want to hear. Do you want, like, a season review, an extended preview of McKinley? We will talk about literally any and everything you want us to talk about. Doesn't have to be Massillon football, doesn't have to be football. We'll argue about anything. We will sit here and ramble on about whatever you want us to ramble on until our little hearts are content. So, all that being said, we did have a game against Middletown, Delaware last Friday night. Looked kind of shaky at first, but we got it going, and final score, ended up being a bit of a bigger ass kicking than I think that even implies. So, you know, what do you think of the game, Rob? I know you didn't catch much, so you don't have to keep on talking like you really saw much of it.
I did see some of it. So right off the bat, you know, Middletown came out and they drove down, scored on us, got the ball back, went down and scored again. I thought from the get-go that they were a little bit better than some people were making them out to be. They still aren't an amazing team. I think we knew that part, but there were, you know, some people just thought it was just a trash team that you come out and walk all over. And we watched the film together, and they didn't seem that bad, right? You know, I think we expected to win, but didn't expect it to be just 50-0 type of game. So I think they came out ready to play, and the beginning of the game, you know, kind of a wake-up call for us. So, yeah, we had to put it together after that. But, they got there, put it together, put up some points. Defense did step up there. You know, the first two drives giving up some points, but then after that, pretty solid in general from keeping them out of the end zone. So, good job there.
Yeah, I think what you said without saying is Middletown came to play. It didn't seem like we really came out and took this game as seriously as we should have those first couple of drives. We came out, seemed kind of flat, at least to what we had been seeing, and there is going to be a come down a little bit after a game like Ed's, after a game like Fitch. You know, these kids, they're humans. They're not robots. It's human nature to look at a team like that, and especially after what we just did, and to be like, okay, you know, we can take it easy a little bit. Whether that's a conscious thought or not, it's still there floating around in your head somewhere. Mm-hmm. Like you said, you know, they looked fine on tape. I think I'm just more down a little bit on Delaware football as a whole, so that's what I was kind of comparing that to in my head. They did come out and seem a lot better than, like you said, like we saw. I think the quarterback, his arm talent made up for a lot of, not lack of skill outside, but it just seemed like they had a bunch of, like, average to decent high school receivers, and that quarterback was making him look like dudes sometimes. He was throwing frozen ropes all night. Those first couple of drives, I think our defense played a little more passively than normal, and I don't mean the players themselves, I just mean the play calls. It didn't seem like we were blitzing much. We weren't getting the quarterback off a spot, we weren't making him uncomfortable, we were just sitting back in coverage, kind of feeling out how are they wanting to attack us. And then later on in the game, as we got going, we started heating him up a little bit more, and you could see he was getting uncomfortable. He was feeling the pressure. The throws were starting to be off. I mean, he's still got an incredible arm. He was still slinging it in there, but they weren't as accurate. and we were just getting him off a spot. Offensively, let me just go through my notes here. Yeah, like you said, their first drive down the field was pretty solid. When they ran it in for the touchdown, I mean, I thought it looked like just basic inside zone. I thought our defense fitted up pretty well. Running back didn't have anywhere to go. He just bounced it out, and nobody was there to make a tackle. Then we get the ball, just half a dozen run plays, get to it on, what was it, 4th and 5, 4th and 6, and we called stretch. Didn't get it. In the moment, I absolutely hated the play call. More I sat and thought about it, I don't hate it as much. You know, we did the check with me, and we had been running the ball down, for 6-7 plays, so we obviously knew how they were playing the run. Do the check with me, you see the front, maybe thought we could get the edge if we had the numbers or just alignment, and really outside zone is just, let's crease the defense and hand the ball to your best player and let him go be a dude. Obviously, we didn't get the result we wanted. Still not my favorite play call, but I hate it a lot less now that I think about it than I did in the moment. Second drive, nothing going, had to punt. Needed a timeout to get the personnel and play call right for the punt. Not great to see. Just moving along. That's where it was on their third drive that quarterback's arm started popping out to me. Like, this dude is good. Then we get him backed up to 4th and forever, and quarterback scrambles, makes a phenomenal throw for a touchdown. After that, we started blitzing. We started heating the kid up. Come out 3 and out after halftime, not good, but immediately get the turnover, and we take a shot play right off of that touchdown, and I think the momentum just started rolling our way. Saw a little bit of the sub package on defense, the 3 high safety stuff. And that's pretty much really all I got as far as the rest of the game goes. They did some stuff that was cool. A lot of funky formations, a lot of empty, a lot of quad sets out of empty. I remember right before halftime that they tried the old hide the tight end on a field goal play where you just line them up directly next to the sideline, try and hope the defense doesn't notice. And we called a timeout because I don't know if the coaches saw it or what, but Liebler lined up. He was the corner over top of that, and he was throwing a fit, pointing at this kid, trying to get the attention of the rest of the defense to hey, we're getting quads, not trips, and called a timeout, got the defense back on track, and they didn't do anything out of that. So it was just a fun little in-game thing. I think Liebs overall had a good game. Saw some comments about the secondary getting toasted, but I think it was just that quarterback, man. He was just, those wide receivers got even an inch of separation, and he was putting that ball where it needed to be.
Yeah, I mean, I said last week after the film that I think he was the best quarterback that we've seen so far this year going into it, and he came out and kind of showed that. Great arm talent. I mean, he does have some D1 offers that we mentioned. They have some athletes out there, but no spectacular playmakers, and it was kind of the quarterback ran the show. Also, I thought on the film he did a good job of extending plays, eluding tackles, working the pocket, and I mentioned that if we're going to go after him, don't miss. And I think there's a few times early in the game where he extended the play more than we wanted him to, and I mean, good job on their part. But yeah, we reined it in there a little bit on him and made his life a little bit tougher, forced the receivers, skill players to kind of step up their game by putting more pressure on the quarterback. So, good adjustment, and we got there.
Yeah. I just went back and looked at the box scores a little bit today. Anything that stuck out, I think the biggest thing that I saw really was we only had 3 penalties. So that's a big improvement over, seeing kind of sloppy play, dumb mistakes earlier in the year. Game like that, 3 penalties, always good to see. Red zone, we were 3 for 3. You always want to turn red zone opportunities into points, especially touchdowns. However, they were 4 for 5. not great, but I think that's a lot to do with, like we were talking about, that quarterback just making plays. If you look at the box score, they had negative 15 rushing yards, but that's because we had like 5 sacks for 65 yards, I think. I think we're in agreement, dying on this hill, of sack yardage is a passing stat, not a rushing stat. So I went back and looked at their actual rush yards. They had 14 carries, 35 yards, 2.5 yards per carry. So even take those sack yards out of it, BlackSwarm defense still doing a good job plugging up the run, making the offense one-dimensional. And when an offense has to play with one hand tied behind their back, doesn't matter how good you are at it, you're still playing at a disadvantage. Yeah, like I said, the QB got sacked 5 times, but 8 different kids on their team caught a pass from the quarterback. So they really like to spread the ball around. Got a lot of kids that can go out there and make a play, or got a lot of kids that can go out there and play, but not necessarily a dude that can go out there and make plays happen.
Yeah.
So that's about all that stuck out to me for that game. That's all I got, unless you have anything else to add.
No, I mean, I think that pretty much sums up the game.
So with that, I guess we can get into the new little segment that you got. You want to intro that? And I already got what it's going to be, but
okay.
I would like you to explain to the audience what it is.
All right, well, in that case, so this kind of just came to me during a lunch break last week, I think, is when I first texted you about it. Mm-hmm. And I'm still kind of working out the details because I haven't thought about it since then.
Sounds about right.
But the concept, and this could encompass a lot. Right? It kind of gives us flexibility of where we want to go with it. Originally, I wanted to talk about players or schemes that flip the advantage of the play in their favor. Right, so when you line up, if you write a play on a board, everything's 50-50, right? Mm-hmm. You write the offense, you write the defense. There's the old adage of
last one with the
last
wins.
Yeah, the last coach with the marker wins. If you have an offensive coach going up there drawing a play or drawing a formation, a play, either way, defensive coach going up there drawing how he would defend it, give the marker back to the offensive coach of how he would adjust it. It's, the advantage goes to whoever has the marker last. So essentially it's 50-50 going into it. So from there, you're setting yourself up to give yourself an advantage. And I think what caused this is you sent me a clip of somebody running a route in the NFL, and the way he set it up, the way he was setting up his routes gave him the advantage because it might have been that.
Oh, yeah, it
might have been the corner versus the corner post.
Yeah.
And by setting up his corner post the exact same way he runs his corner, the defender was jumping the corner out, gives him the easy double move to open the post. Now, there's a lot of different things out there. Hank's more of a lineman guy, I'm more of a skill player guy. So what I see and what he sees might be a little bit different. But the idea is gaining an advantage. And with that, I was thinking about a term that's used in casinos, because that's one of the rabbit holes that I was watching on YouTube a couple weeks ago, about people that count cards in blackjack. It's not illegal. It's not, it's not against the law. It doesn't break any rules. You're allowed to do it, but casinos have the right, as a private business, to deny you business, right? So they'll kick you out of a casino, or they'll tell you can't play blackjack anymore, or something like that. But the term they use is advantaged player. They will call you an advantaged player because you have a leg up on the house. Whereas every single game, the house wins because over time, they're, even in the worst games, they're winning like 51.5% of the time. A person that can count cards, they are now favored to win like 51% of the time if they play perfect. But, nonetheless, they flipped it to where they have the advantage now. You're an advantage player. So going forward, I want to try to highlight either a player, a play, or a scheme to where we flip the advantage into our favor. It could be a technique used by a player. It could be a scheme used against a specific defense, setting them up one way to go back to something else. Just taking advantage with numbers to a side, whatever. This is really open to interpretation, but the idea is that we are taking the advantage in the play. So that's the idea of it, and hopefully we can get some kind of good example periodically enough that we can actually kind of do this as a small segment. So that's the idea behind it.
So with that, I think I got our first one down pretty good, and it's kind of funny you mentioned how I pay attention to the fat boys and you pay attention to the skinny guys, because my first one is a bigger guy, specifically Big Mike. I noticed this during the game. I even made a note of it in my notes, but his get-off speed on certain plays is just ridiculous. Like, he's already in the center's face before that ball even leaves his hand sometimes. And as a base rush 3 defense, we're already kind of at a disadvantage as far as getting pressure on the quarterback goes. But when you can do that and you can, dip and rip on a center before he can even start getting into his pass set or before he can get hands on you on a run play, and you're already causing havoc up the middle, the shortest distance to the quarterback and the ball, then you're putting the rest of your defense in an advantageous spot. A lot of times defenses have to blitz to create pressure on a quarterback. We do it a lot because that pressure gets there quicker, but some teams can't even do it at all with what they got. When you got a dude like Big Mike coming up the middle and you're not giving the quarterback anywhere to go, or the ball carrier on a run play, any time to make a move, he's getting hit as soon as he gets the handoff. You're just compounding negative plays for the offense, and that's hard to recover. I know it's tracked a lot more in like the NFL and the high-level college football stuff, but it's like if you get a negative play on 1st and 10 or 2nd and medium, get a team outside of the standard down and distance stuff, then that drive is probably going to end up in a punt or a turnover. So having a dude like that up front, just right up the middle of the defense that can create havoc just with how fast he can get off the ball it's hard to beat. It's hard to combat. We got some film of that here in Film Room coming up, so we'll get a chance to see that a little bit, but that's my advantage player of the week.
Okay, to kind of dig into the concept of this segment a little bit more, would you say that affects their potential play calling or the success of a specific, let's say, run play, to where they thought they might be able to account on blocking back on him or letting him go or something of the sense that like maybe you wouldn't be able to do now because he gets there too quick, kind of like letting an end man go when he's really fast?
Yeah.
Does that affect a play? Maybe not this team in particular because they didn't run quite as bit, but in general, does that help flip the script on what an offense can do?
Yeah, on the whole, I think if you got a guy that coming up the middle of the defense that your offensive line just can't block, then, you're going to have a hard time running up the middle. If for whatever blocking scheme you're trying to block back on him and he's already past where the guy trying to get the back block is like going, he's just wreaking havoc up the middle. Like you can't do anything about that. Then you start having to dedicate double teams to him, and then you start getting that number advantage of the offensive versus defensive line back. Even, if we go with our 4-down package and you're still at a disadvantage of 5-on-4, but then they have to dedicate a double team to Big Mike. Now you got one-on-ones everywhere else. I think that's how that math works, right? Sure, let's call it that, yeah. You have to dedicate a one-on-one everywhere else, and then that's where you get other opportunities for people to step up and say, hey, like, I got a one-on-one now, I'm beating my dude, time for me to go make a play. And then defense can start blitzing more because in a perfect world on the whiteboard, and off any 5-man protection should be able to handle any 5-man blitz. Well, when you get that double team, now you can just send 5 again, and you have a free rusher. You get that number advantage right back, and you still have the numbers in coverage technically because it's 6 on 4 receivers. So I think it's both schematically and kind of in the moment of feel that something like that is going to affect the offense.
All right, cool. So that was our advantaged player moment of the week. And I wanted to get that out of the way because now I have a follow-up question, which is just for my own.
Go for it.
As a ex-lineman.
Yep.
Something I never really thought about until you were going on your first rant. If you're going, let's just say you're going one-on-one against the center. All right, let's take everybody else out of the equation to make it equal.
Mm-hmm.
One-on-one against the center. As a defensive lineman, would you rather attack his dominant hand or his non-dominant hand in regards to if he's right-handed, he's snapping right-handed?
Yeah.
Would you rather attack the side he snaps with or the opposite side? I'm asking because I don't know if it's like if you're blocking to the right, is your right hand more important than your left? That's something I'm not familiar with. So, also as a center, would you rather him go away from the snapping hand or towards the snapping hand? Does it make a difference?
You know what? As a center, that's something I never really thought about. I just kind of
Well, you don't get the option, yeah. So.
Yeah, it's like, this is my life. Like, this is the hand I've dealt.
Yeah.
And you just got to deal with it. I didn't really have a preference as a center. It was just, I know when the ball's going to be snapped, so I should, in theory, have a step on this guy.
I guess same thing could go for any lineman that has a hand on the ground.
Yeah.
Are you better with your hand that's up?
No, there's really not much of a difference from what I remember.
So if you're going against Big Mike, who is crossing your face while your right hand is still between your legs,
I suppose.
would you rather him go to your right or your left?
Okay, you know what?
Because are you pushing away with your left or are you catching? I guess that would be my interpretation of it. If he's going to your left, if you're only one-handed.
Yeah. So if I'm the center, I am right-handed. If I'm the center, I want Big Mike lined up over my left, coming at my left, because I know I'm not fast enough to get him at his best. So I want my free hand to be able to grab that jersey and hold on tight for as long as possible, right off rip.
Okay. So as a blocker, you would rather them go towards your free hand?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
These are questions that us skill guys don't have the answers to.
Never even thought about.
Yeah, there you go.
And I'd like to see Big Mike line up as a 3-tech against a team that pulls guards a lot.
Yeah, that's kind of like what I was asking with the last one. Because, if you're pulling that guard and he's able to skip through there quick, then that kind of limits how often you can do that.
Big Mike is a nose guard, we don't play many pulling centers. So the back block as a center on, say, a 1-tech is, a shade, is a lot easier than it is on a 3-tech. If let's say I'm lining up, I know my left guard's pulling, and he has a guy lined up outside on his outside shoulder, the angle I have to take for that back block is probably, like if you drew it on a whiteboard, gonna be just directly to my left.
Yes.
I'm not going upfield at all. I'm like, I have to open up immediately and just haul ass to get there to block somebody like Mike and anybody with that kind of speed. And it's like, that's one of those blocks that's taken for granted a lot of times, but against really like the dudest of dudes, think as the most extreme example, Aaron Donald in the NFL. He's not seeing many back blocks because he's just swimming underneath that shit immediately, beating the dude to the point and just blowing up the play in the backfield.
Yeah.
And I think that's, any masochists out there, if you want to go back and watch the Hoban 2020 film, you'll see that a lot. Is just guys getting beat, the center getting beat on the back block, just outmatched in the trenches. But that was specifically something that stuck out to me in that game. So, yeah. Free hand better. Back blocks on good 3-techs are hard.
Yes. That part I knew.
Yeah. So, any other questions on that one?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. That's all I got for Middletown. I guess with that, we can keep moving right into film room and then just keep the show moving from there, huh?
All right, let's go.
Cool. All right, so we talked the kid up enough and the recap of the game. Might as well see a little bit of the Middletown's highlights against us. Kid had a cannon just throwing piss missiles all night, so I think after getting that W walking out of there, we can sit back and appreciate it a little bit. So with that, let's get it rolling. Just a little quads action on their 4th and forever. Just looked like 5 verts, scrambled, and I mean, put that ball well over where his guy could get it. He had a couple of those throws, just the sidelines. Receiver couldn't get a foot in, but, like, my God.
That's the one that I liked.
Yeah.
Live right there.
You got to appreciate the kid doing the Randy Moss calling for the ball immediately.
Yeah. We'll put it outside of the back or inside of the safety there.
Big boy throw right there.
He gets out of the pocket, extends the play, toss it up. I mean, the receivers have made more than a couple tough catches just so far in this highlight.
Yeah. They ran a lot of that ace formation there. Just the 2 tight ends in line. I don't know if they saw something or thought they could get something going with that, but I thought we did a pretty good job of shutting that down.
Did we allow them to have an end zone camera? Or is this just a fan?
No, I think
That looks
they had
like
an end zone camera.
that looks like an end zone. I didn't think we let teams do that. Maybe it was part of the deal, or we didn't know about it.
Teams let us do it, so.
Yeah, but we usually. I didn't think we did. Was the thing. I mean, I don't know. I might be talking out of my ass, but I thought we didn't share or allow end zone film.
Well, that's not our end zone camera, I can tell you that. Based on all the highlights we watched this year that I assumed from our end zone camera.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Maybe not. I don't know.
With that, we'll keep her moving. Next up should be just the recap from our perspective. Yep. This one, a little RPO off power. Power's the called run play. Slaughter likes the fade ball, so he just tucks it and throws.
Left a little short.
Here's
that
one.
Was common.
Yeah.
Less.
I like this one because it really showcases. Okay. So let's see here. Line up in our base, 3 down, 4 backer look, 2 high shell. And I talked about how with this 3 down package that you can blitz a guy, your Mike, your Will, or your Jack, to get that 4th rusher and still play base quarters behind it. So here you get the Will linebacker just coming right down the pipe. Nobody sees him, gets pressure on the quarterback. I mean, doesn't make a tackle, but quarterback still feels it. And you still get your base quarters coverage behind it. I lied. The lineman picked him up. Thinking of another play. Same thing. Fade RPO off of power.
That's a really good pass.
Yeah. Just puts it right where his guy can get it, and sending the Heat into a rollout. That's tough to...
Stumbling, rumbling, tumbling.
Rumbling, bumbling, stumbling. Here just looks like simple 4 verts into quarters. Guys kind of bent the inside seams, kind of bend it in a little bit, almost end up running into each other. Probably not how you want to draw it up, but still a good pass by Slaughter.
Yeah, it looked like it took a little longer than you'd expect that to.
Mm-hmm.
That was my biggest takeaway from that, because Slaughter had time to navigate the pocket and then step up in the pocket and still deliver a 15-yard throw.
Yeah.
So,
final stats. I mean, pretty good through the air. 6 for 11 on third. I think 1 for 2 on fourth down, so about 68% completion percentage on conversion opportunities. Pretty good. 1 turnover, not what you want to see. I forgot Trell put 1 on the dirt. But, hey, we got 2 from them. Not bad. Here we got the good old smash Z post play we're good for about once a game. So down at the bottom here, receivers are running smash.
Whose camera angle is this?
Somebody got it on their phone.
Okay.
This is the one that we got off Twitter.
Okay.
So I forget who you are, but thanks for the great camera angle, Bubba. So up top, your inside guy is running his corner out just like you would on smash. Your outside guy gets into a trail technique, gets right up behind him, and then cuts it across over the middle. Usually gets lost by that safety and corner. They almost never trade it off. I think St. V is like one of the only teams that could ever really do it because they only ever ran quarters. And they just repped it so many times they're good at it. But really good shot play for us. Really good 2-high beater.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tough for the coverage because, I feel like most teams match after a certain distance.
Mm.
So that safety is reading the inside receiver, and once he gets, 7 yards deep,
usually quarters
9,
is
10,
about 10 is
once he gets,
kind of catch-all
10 yards deep, you're locked on then, essentially. Well, the thing is when that outside receiver is cutting in immediately, the corner's not taking him immediately because he's usually playing his zone for the first 10.
The corner's usually in what's called mod or MOD, man on deep. If he goes deep, cover him man. Sometimes they'll play him man except short. So if he cuts it short, anything like crossing routes, stuff like that, he'll just see that drop to his zone. And that getting behind the corner looks like a shallow route almost.
Yeah, and the trail technique that the outside receiver takes, the corner can't squeeze that right away because then he's kind of abandoning his outside position if something else comes out his way. So he has to hang out there long enough. And then, once the outside receiver ends up cutting towards the middle of the field, I mean, that's a lot of recovery speed for a corner if he even does stay latched on. And that safety, unless you're repping that looking for it, if you're on your guy at 10 yards, that's your guy. You're not worried about other guys. So I think that's why it's a successful play, because that safety gets locked in on number 2, and the corner has to let that one go initially, and then it's so hard to catch up. So, yeah, you got the teams that will pass it off when they're really good. They're looking for it, and that probably leaves them susceptible to other things. But just running it out of your base coverage without looking for that specifically, that's a really tough play.
And I mean, it's not like teams don't know we run this.
Yeah,
I'm sure, because we run this at least once a game. I'm sure they rep the shit out of those looks. But you call smash a couple times, set it up, get that corner looking okay, or get that safety looking okay. I got the corner. Let's just stay over top of the corner. He's never even looking for that trail post after that. So good protection by the line. You could see Trail's just looking for work, doesn't have anywhere to go with it. I mean, that's one that you'd like to see. He hits him in stride, that's walk-in 6. But when a dude's wide open like that, just get the ball to him, take the yards every time.
Yeah, the linebacker actually does a really good job of chasing that down, because I feel like that should be a play where the safety and corner let you go.
Yeah.
You should be able to catch that like a punt and then still have time to go run into the end zone after that. So it's one of those where you're so wide open, you'd rather the quarterback just put it right on you than miss overthrow. Mm-hmm. So, take the yards every time, but, Yeah, I think that ends up being a touchdown more times than not. But shout out for that linebacker for just randomly picking it up. Like, that's not his. Yeah, he's mad at the safety right there. But, that's not necessarily his guy, but he does a good job of reading it and running with it. And
Yeah.
he saves a touchdown because of it.
I mean, that's your Sam linebacker. So normally when he gets a vertical from the number 2 guy, he's just getting hands on, disrupting it, passing it off to the safety, and then dropping to his curl flat zone. But he sees it, recognizes the play because they rep this a couple times in practice. He knows what's coming.
Looks like he was just reading Slaughter's eyes right here. Sees that it's middle of the field, finds the guy in the middle of the field, chases him down. But, yeah, good play on his part.
Yeah. And then, obviously, you run smash on the backside, too, because that opposite corner out is taking the other
Safety out of it, yeah.
Yep.
The 2 safeties are running towards the sideline, vacating the middle. And, boom, I mean, there it is.
So, just play we've run the shit out of ever since Trox got here. I'd never actually seen this play before until Trox did get here. And I was really bored at work, going back, watching film, watching like highlights of, the 2012 team and stuff, see what concepts we ran, what be like then. And we ran this exact same play for 6 against St. V. I saw that, I'm like, holy shit, this is like a decade ago.
Yeah, I mean, the closest thing we would have was like a scissors route, which the idea is you're getting the safety and corner to switch or get them not to switch, I guess. And then you're making that corner chase somebody towards the middle of the field. But it wouldn't have been set up with the smash concept first, really. I mean, we ran smash, but they weren't designed to look similar.
Yeah.
It was just more of a...
It's its own play.
Yeah. You're just hoping they get confused because, a lot of times defenders do get confused when players switch. They cross each other's face. Do I stay with them? Do I stay on? Do I switch? We had match coverage, and there'd be different rules for different teams for different formations. There's times where we would match off the line, like as soon as they crossed, we're taking them. There's times where it's like after 5 yards, there's times after 10 yards. So it depends on the team, depends on the formation, the concepts that they like to run. So it's easy for defenses to get mixed up once you start crossing your offensive players. So the nice thing about this is that there's a base play behind it. It's not just relying on them messing up. So
yeah,
I mean, it's a good play, and we've been hitting home on it for a long time.
And I wouldn't say it relies on them. I wouldn't say any play relies on defense messing up. I'd say it's a play that you're screwing with the rules of the defense and manipulating players. And normally you're kind of counting on one guy to come open based on...
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like with our scissors route, it was pretty dependent on the defense just playing it wrong.
Right.
Or just outmanning somebody, just being a dude and being able to be with them one-on-one. Whereas with this, there is a concept behind it. You are manipulating the defense. Ours, our equivalent of something like this was just about winning a one-on-one and hoping that the defense stutters. Because that's one of the things, if you get them thinking for half second, both your guys are running vertical at top speed. If the defense hesitates for half a second on, wait, am I supposed to go with him? Or boom, you catch up now. Now you're in catch-up mode. So, I mean, there's still room for those type of plays because they work. It's one-on-one with an advantage if you can get them to stop and think about it a little bit. But this one I like because there is the base play and you're setting things up and you're getting them to read one thing and then come back and go against what they normally want to do, kind of, so that safety wants to jump the corner. They want to jump the corner. Bam, now you got the trail behind it. So it's just setting them up and keeping them honest. So I like the concept rather than kind of how we did it is what I'm saying.
Right. I got you. But I just appreciate how much time Slaughter had back there. This offensive line, holding that pocket there. Like I said, Drell looking for work, doesn't really have anybody to block. And
3-man rush.
Yep. That's what you get. So, moving right along. Got some trail highlights here. Just being a dude. Kind of.
Nice patient run.
Yep. Patient through the mess. Find a hole. Get up in there. And that's Trell being a dude, just getting up in the hole and making a guy's life hell. Nice bounce on power when you get a run through like that. Here's something. Our base offensive formation that, we've run since, like I said, since 2017 with the 2 receivers and a fullback and a running back. That's something we haven't really used much, and we came out this game and that's what we started in. So it was just interesting to see that. Ooh, a little double clutch on the fade ball there. Just interesting to see that our home base is still home base.
Yeah, I don't know if this is like a hot take or not, but that Trell dude is pretty good.
I'd call that mild.
Mm-hmm. He makes some plays that he extends some runs that shouldn't be.
Right.
Yards after contact.
Yeah. There's one in here. He gets right here. He gets met on the 36, ends up falling forward down to the 33.
Yeah, there was a few times where there was the run through. The one was a touchdown. They fill in real nice. He just bounces it outside of him, gets a stiff arm, then gets hit at the 5-6 yard line. He's able to stay in bounds and get into the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's an elite runner.
Yeah.
So that's one where he bounces it on the run through, but there's another one later that I was referring to. But he's followed his blocks really well in this highlight.
Mm-hmm.
Stays in tight, trusts the process, and finds the crease.
Yeah. Just real comfortable running this stuff, man.
Bounces off a linebacker that had him wrapped up, squared up. This one right here. Stiff arm at the 12, gets the corner. Great run.
6 points.
Steps up, blocks.
You can be a dude with the ball in your hands all you want, but if you can't do all the other little stuff running backs need to do, specifically pass protection, and it's not just blocking a guy one-on-one, it's knowing who to block, knowing what to look for.
Yeah, went shoulder to shoulder with a linebacker and got 6 extra yards after hitting him. It's just impressive.
And even when it's not your guy, like that last clip there.
Picking up somebody on the edge.
Yeah.
Looking for work.
Yep. So right here, nobody blitzes. He doesn't have a linebacker to pick up, but dude beats the tackle off the edge. Like you said, looking for work. Goes, finds a guy, makes him, widens that hoop just a bit more. Gives Slaughter time to get the ball off. So, I think that's all we got for Trell on the offensive highlights. Now getting into a little bit of the BlackSwarm stuff. Just their snag concept that they love running the shit out of. We really only gave them the flat route all game. And if you're going to give up something as a defense, give up, short and outside. Make the throw as long as possible for the quarterback, but still as close to the line of scrimmage as possible. And teams aren't going to live off that. Just a little mesh action out of 2 back. Mike Leach would be proud. So this is Page, our safeties highlights. Just coming up, hole opens up big. Just coming flying down from the roof, making a tackle. Yeah, it was a first down, but he had a whole lot of room to work there, and Page didn't really give him much. Here you can see the guy starting to creep up a little bit. Should be alarm bells for the quarterback. Gets heated up. Has to get rid of the ball. Again, looks like, same play as a couple clips before that. Out of that double tight end formation. Hole opens up and Page flies down, makes a play. Good penetration by, I think that was Bond, making him bounce. The hole was there. If Bond gets blocked, that looks pretty similar to what we've been seeing. Just a little stick concept. Let him catch it, force a fumble, and get the ball back, just like you draw it up, right?
Yeah. Second guy in, goes for the ball.
Yep. There's a little cross dog action there. Make the quarterback get rid of it quick and complete. A little special teams love. Ball doesn't land quite where you want it to. Pretty far outside the box. But outside contained guy. If he doesn't make that tackle, that ball's going he's going a long ways down the field. Starts creeping up. Just getting man on outside. Quarterback feels the pressure, can't put the ball exactly where it needs to be. Man coverage is sticky enough. Doesn't make a play. That one was the will up the middle. You can see the running back have to step up and take him, get right in the quarterback's face. Doesn't give him room to throw. Still completes the pass, but it's not how a quarterback wants to be living all night. I can tell you that. Here you can see. I think this is our. Yeah, this is our sub package that we ran a little bit of. You can see. So in our sub package, we take out the jackbacker, add a third high safety. So we got 4 over 3 down at the trips. Still, 5 in the box with the safety over top and a corner just one-on-one outside that you trust him press man coverage like that. Goal line, how you going to play it? Man up, send the heat. You're going to play red 7, zone coverage, pass off the slant flat concept. Page crashes a slant, doesn't let him catch it.
Yeah, it's a good job of passing that off.
All right, next up, we got some little Pringle highlights here. Just great swim move making a man miss on the blitz. Just heating the quarterback up all night, man. Creep up, creep up, creep up. You can see some get off speed from Big Mike there.
Yeah, I was watching Pringle.
But
Big Mike gets there first.
Yeah, Big Mike, this is one of those plays I was talking about with that get off speed.
Yeah, Pringle runs that hoop about as tight as you possibly can with barely getting touched, and somehow Mike still beats him there. So I have to watch him, Mike, this time.
Yeah, so anybody else watching, you can, go back and watch as many times as you want, but Pringle's just going to creep up to the edge, run that hoop, but Big Mike just gets off so quick, real quick dip and rip move. Quarterback just has no time to throw.
Center's been having a rough high. The center whiffed on Pringle twice and then got ripped by Big Mike on that one. Bad highlight for the center.
Yeah, I can't imagine he had a good day in film after this game.
Well, I saw that I believe it was their coach posted that.
Oh, the quote about
how good Big Mike was, how he was a difference maker on the line. Expects him to be a Power 5 type player.
So, with that, get into the man of the hour. Big Mike's highlights himself. A lot of setup time on these plays, but here it's a run play up the middle, and he just gets off the ball so quick, immediately in the backfield. nowhere to go for that running back. Same play, just end zone angle.
Yeah, so it's the guard is trying to cut him off here.
Probably just a little inside zone to our right with the sniffer filling in. Just splits a double team.
Center wants nothing to do with it. I didn't even think he was trying on the first. From the first angle, I didn't think the center like even had responsibility on him because he got past the center so quick. Yeah, center just rips past the center's face.
Yep. Nowhere to go on that one.
Great use of hands. I like the minor look back that center does on all of these plays. It's like,
Oh. I mean, he had to know.
Yeah, but he sells it well. Like he's not like freaking out like, oh, I missed a guy. But man, that center's just getting worked. I mean, Big Mike causing issues.
This one, I like the, I don't know if it's the number 1 or the number 3 on this. Comes open over the middle, just watches what happens, and just head goes back like, God damn it.
Man, it's like I need half a second to be open. And, oh, wow. He's like, yep, I'm wide open, and yeah, can't throw it to me. Sorry. Really, though, we should put up a timer. I mean, I guess you could look at the bottom of the screen as the podcast is rolling, but
well, let's see here.
You gonna run both of them? I guess you could click at the same time. You don't know when the snap is, so go. 1.4,
1.6.
1.6.
Yeah, and I might have been a little slow on that one.
Yeah, that's a hand timed 1.6 from the snap itself
to
the quarterback being
contact,
down. Yeah,
it's just the get off is.
You're making your defensive backs' lives a lot easier when you can do stuff like that.
Yep. And there's gonna be a lot of clips I watched where, after going through trying to pick out the highlights for this, I'm watching Big Mike almost every play, looking for him. It's like, okay, he does this. Where is it every play? Well, a lot of the blitzes we run, he has to stunt to a different gap. He has to long stick to B gap or go to cross the center's face, get to the opposite B gap, something where it's not necessarily his job to just shoot the gap like that. So he's not going to show up every play, but he's still going to be up there eating space, doing his job, and letting other guys come free.
Against that center, you could drop 10 into coverage. Center couldn't.
Just let Big Mike run free up the middle all night.
Big Mike is not getting blocked by that guy.
No.
More than 1 out of 10 times. He's just eating him alive, slapping his hands off every time and going right past him. Just slaps the hands, keeps going.
Just ridiculous.
Oh, slap, a rip. And I think the rip actually held him up a little bit.
Yeah.
If he would just 2 hands slapped, I think that's quicker.
And kept
when they ripped, they kind of went arm to arm.
Yeah.
He got snagged up a little bit. And he's still back there.
That's your pass rush move, man. See old slap and rip.
Yeah. That's just, great performance.
Yep. So, with that, we can turn the page onto Canisius. Don't have anybody in particular to highlight. Just found a couple of their game recaps on Huddle. This first one, I think, is against Lancaster, whoever the hell they are. Team up in New York, I assume. So, you get to see a little bit of them. Just some scramble drill, a little pointing hero ball. Hell of a catch.
Yeah.
likes to drift in the pocket.
Yeah.
Do the old Patty Mahomes. I mean, he had pressure right up the middle there. Like, he didn't have much else to go. But
He has a weird drop.
yeah,
Like, every time he snapped the ball so far, I thought he was left-handed.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, he turns and he's right-handed. But something about the way he starts his drop just, like, looks weird to me. I don't know why.
like he takes a big first long step, and he's been rolling, like, getting a little half roll out to the right. I don't know. Looks awkward. So, you can see this game put up some yards through the air and on the ground. But yards don't equal W's, boys. Got to put up those points first.
Yeah. Got to score points. 5 of 17 isn't great.
Yeah.
Turnover.
Getting to third down a lot in general isn't great. I think a lot of things people look over when they look at the third down conversion rate, they don't even notice how many times you get to third down. Like, if you're there at 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1 every time, it might not be that big of a deal. That's staying on schedule. Mm-hmm. But facing third down 17 times.
Yeah, the teams that put up 300 rushing yards, you kind of expect that. Mm. But, they were over 2-1 passing to rushing yards this game. I mean, at least according to these stats. So when you're putting up those kind of numbers, that's not a great sign for why you have that many third downs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, either you're trying to be a running team and it's not working, or you're not completing passes early, you're behind schedule and getting a lot of third downs. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of third downs are bad. I mean, for sure, the more third downs you have, the more potential fourth downs you can have, I guess. So,
yep.
I mean, I guess unless you go down and you have like 6 third downs in the same drive and score a touchdown. But then you'd have a high conversion rate. They don't have a high conversion rate. So,
yeah.
When you don't have a high conversion rate and you have that many of them, it's not a good sign of what your offense did that game. So,
and the INT doesn't help either. That's going to be a theme you're going to see here. So, next game against the Alphabet Soup Academy.
God.
A nice touchdown run. Just a little end around.
The cornerback looks so funky, man. I don't...
Just dude makes a miss, and, I mean, hey, if you got to do it, I'm guessing 8's like one of their dudes. You just get the ball in his hand however you can, and...
I'm guessing his last name is Tacky.
I don't
imagine they're all wearing jerseys that say Tacky on it, right?
Can't be.
He has that straight 1940s drop back to start his drop back, where his first step is directly back. He's facing the offense. At least on that last clip.
Yeah.
It just looks funky.
It's tunnel screen. Dude houses it. I mean, obviously got a little bit of speed. A little formation in the boundary.
Yeah, he steps right back.
It's not great when you have to put a horse collar in your highlight reel.
Like a negative -1 yard run.
Yeah.
On the highlight. Yeah. I mean,
this just looks like
it's a defensive highlight. Yeah.
That's straight out of SportsCenter, not top 10 right there.
Yeah.
Sorry, QB. Sometimes you have to just take the L and go down on it.
I saw better football plays on Charlie Brown. I want to see one time where he throws a quick pass. How does he do it? Does he have that same drop back if he has to throw an immediate pass? Is he dropping straight backwards, facing the goalpost? And that
I don't know. Like the highlights we're watching now.
I'm guessing.
All I've watched
I'm guessing if he has to throw like a quick 3-yard hitter, it's slow. I'm just guessing. Maybe he changes it up for when he has to do quick passes, but
yeah,
man.
So
that's just weird.
I mean, obviously, Alphabet
more balance that time.
Yeah, and Alphabet Soup Academy, not great on the ground. I really don't care how many times you get sacked as a quarterback. Negative 43 rushing yards is like not great.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So, get to the other stuff here.
Under 50%, 3 interceptions.
Yeah, 6 for 13 on third down. Not great, but they did hold the other team to 2 for 8, so better. Both teams had 3 turnovers. Not good football. 3 INTs is the big thing. Maybe not necessarily the greatest decision maker back there taking snaps.
Yeah, it looks like the ball hangs on him a little bit. Seems like he's trying to make plays that aren't really there, so interesting. I mean, we'll see. I mean, yeah, like you said, the interceptions are going to become a thing, and I can kind of see why.
So, last game we got against maybe football that a little more closer to home. Ohio team, Walsh Jesuit.
They're good.
They're good? I don't know anything about them. So
I think they're good.
They
almost beat Hoban every year.
Do they?
That might be their only good game of the year, but like for whatever reason, they have a good time against Hoban. I think that sounds right.
Well, they mollywop Canisius. So that's the last game on here. You can see, so we can watch a little bit against, an Ohio team. And to be fair to Canisius, this was their season opener. Kind of got to watch that one a little more up close, but dude kind of carries the ball like a young LaShawn McCoy anyway. So that ball is out there to be had. Can already see down 20-0 in the first.
Just extending the play, running
just a little rollout pass. I mean, that was...
Yeah, but it looks like that's kind of what they need to do.
Yeah, moving the pocket a little bit. Third highlight, and already down 48-0 in the third.
1, 2, 3.
But also on this of note is just missing the wide open guy running down the sideline here. The guy running the motion.
He's going inside out. Sees that first open guy, hits him.
Yeah. I mean, hey, depending on how he's coached to read it, if it's there, you throw it. Nice sideline ball. Receiver gets a step on the corner, and quarterback puts it up there for him to make a play.
So this was their first game of the year?
Yeah.
I wonder if something happened to the quarterback after this. Because he looked better on that film than he did on the other ones. Like, noticeably better. I don't care what these stats say right now. I don't look at that particularly as much as just watching him. He looked less dorky on that one. He looked a little bit more fluent. Looked like the ball came out a little bit better also. The other games you showed, it looked like a deer in headlights, some of the plays. He's just like all over the place.
Only pushback I'd have on you on that one is still 2 interceptions.
That's fine. I'm not saying he's a great player.
Yeah.
I'm just saying
I do see what you mean.
Better it looked like there was a little bit more zip on the passes. Looked like even his steps looked a little bit more. The next couple of games looked like he was bouncing a lot. He's like bouncing rather than stepping. Even if he does have that unconventional first step, in this film it looked a little bit more like, all right, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, getting the ball
That's
out.
exactly how John Heisman taught it.
Yeah, I know. You have to point one hand into the sky before you throw it. His steps looked better on that. Whereas in the other games, it looked bouncy, tall and bouncy, not steppy. I don't know how to explain it. It just seemed like he looked better on that. So I wonder if something happened to him after that. I mean, if you get hurt or just rattled, you're out there seeing ghosts now or something.
We saw pass protection wasn't necessarily their forte, so.
Yeah, so I don't know. Or maybe just, those clips look better than the other clips. Who knows?
Yeah, could be. Like, that's why they're highlights.
Yeah.
And
I mean, the stats don't match it being a better game. So
obviously, 1 for 9 on third down's not good. 5 turnovers is absolutely horrendous. You're not winning any games that way.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a running theme after I watched a couple of these. Like, oh, they turn over the ball a lot.
Yeah.
And not great on third down. So if you can keep them behind the chains, you're going to be getting the ball back quite a bit. All we got for the film room segment. With that, we'll keep moving right into a preview of the rest of Canisius, and then some spread, some Q&A, and get her out of here, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, so we got to see a little bit of Canisius on film. They like to, offensively, they like to keep it spread out, go 3 wide, 4 wide a lot. Defensively, just mostly a cover 4 team. Bring the heat sometimes, but nothing I don't think we haven't seen before. So, like we saw, they didn't really impress much on either side of the ball. No real defensive highlights on that stuff. I mean, they had the one fumble, but it looked like that running back was asking for it. So, anything else stick out to you? Anything of note? Anybody on the roster?
Yeah, so we watched the film, and like you said, there's not a whole lot going on there. That's worth mentioning that we haven't already talked about. So we can look at the roster a little bit. See if there's much to talk about there. Offensive line, it's not bad sized. Actually, pretty decent. 6'4", 285, 6'2", 245, 6'2", 280, 6'4", 255, 6'3", 260. So about, 260 across the board average. The shortest one being 6'2". So I mean they got a little bit of size there.
Decent size.
At least on paper. When we watched the film, it didn't look like the best line in the world. So you can be the correct size, but you still got to go out there and perform. Running back, 6'1", 220.
Good size back there.
Yeah, we've seen the numbers on what they do. It doesn't seem like he's a feature back by any means. So,
I don't know Will Trail Hartson back there.
Yeah, that is for sure. Let me see if I can. Receivers 6'2", 190, 5'11", 175, 5'10", 190, 6'2", 195. I mean, in general, I think it's just the same theme keeps repeating itself here. Just there's no one that just sticks out, I should say, I guess. So, seems like their best 2 receivers, 6'2", 195, 5'11", 175. One's a senior, one's a sophomore. The sophomore is pretty fast, but
so
yes, I mean you saw a little bit of speed there, but yeah. Quarterback, we don't have a whole lot of information on him, but we saw him play, and it's gonna be interesting to see what you get. Saw a few decent passes from him. Saw a few plays that he was able to extend and work the play pretty well. Then you saw him kind of dancing around a little bit, getting happy feet, lofting the ball. I mean, the turnovers on huddle, at least, speak for themselves. So I think you should have a pretty good idea of what you're getting with him. On defense, same thing. They got decent size up front. 6'1", 220, 6'2", 280, 6'4", 255, 6'1", 210. Some of their defensive players, they do decent on the line, but they don't pop off the charts, pretty much. I don't know if there's really any players on here that really pop out. They have some decent players. I mean, the one thing that's worth noting about their defensive line is that it's known that they get tired throughout the game. So you wear on them, and that starts to become evident. Linebackers, 6'1", 180, 6', 225, 6'1", 190. They're all juniors. Same as before.
Yeah. Just sensing a theme here.
Yeah, let's talk about their secondary just real quick. But their safeties are 6'3", 180, 6'2", 195. So they got some height back there. Corner 6 foot 160, 5'11", 175. There's something about all of them individually that, kind of like pros and cons. Mm-hmm. So they got a little bit of height, or they might be good at using their hands, but they give up. They give up some types of plays where they're out of position or stuff like that, or they get caught looking in the backfield too much. So
give up 48 points to Walsh Jesuit by the third quarter.
Yeah, so don't have a whole lot of, we had more information about Middletown than we do about this team, even though it's an opponent we've played in the past. But nothing really sticks out on paper. But the game's not played on paper, so that's why we watch a little bit of film.
And nothing sticks out there either.
Positive, nothing like amazingly positive really stuck out on film either. So I think that's a good indication of what kind of team we're getting into this week. So same thing as any week, though. You have to come out and prove it.
Yep.
Don't let them even get the chance to get started. I hope that's one thing that we can pick up on this week. Since last week we gave up, back-to-back scores to open the game. Hopefully this week we can just come out strong right away, and we can be the ones that punch them in the mouth to start with, mm-hmm. and then never let them up. So that's what I would be looking for, is a hot start.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a good game for us to make up for how we came out last week. Like you said, come out hot, punch them in the mouth, let them know what's up, and once you're stepping on their throat, don't let up. JV team, second string, JV, whoever gets playing time, not to be a dick, but when you get playing time in this game, don't let up. Like, you saw Jesuit had that 48-0 in the third quarter. Keep that goose egg there. Like, you're playing for something there at that point. You're playing for pride. You're playing for, hey, why, show the coaches why you should be getting more playing time either now or in the seasons to come. So, it's going to be one of those games that I hope you got a good tailgate going, but still only get so much mass in football. Only get so much mass in football at home. Go in, mm-hmm. soak up every second of it. Be loud. Let them know you're there, and give them the Massillon experience, man.
Yeah, I saw parents from the Delaware team. They commented on how well everything went on here. They enjoyed the whole event of coming to Massillon. So mm-hmm. same thing for Canisius. Let's go out there and show them the Massillon way, and let the team go out there and get a big dub, because every single one counts, especially when you're only playing 9 to begin with.
Yep.
So every game's important. Even if the way we're saying it kind of implies that it will be a win.
Yeah.
Above that, there's a lot more that goes into it. You can't just drop a game. You can't go out there and have a bad performance. You have highlight tapes that college teams watch, mm-hmm. College coaches watch, right? When you're watching a highlight tape, you don't always go in there and check who the opponent was, what the situation was. That's why they're highlights, right? Yeah. Go out there and put out some highlights. Make a big play, have a good block, all of that. Have good box score stats. Stats shouldn't matter when it comes to wins and losses, but it's an image thing.
Yeah.
People want reasons why to dislike us. And if you go out there and let them hang around, or not to make it a close game, but if on paper Walsh had a better game against them than we did, everybody's going to be wondering, is Massillon really not was it a fluke against Eds? Is Walsh actually way better? And then, it's just weird. Don't give anybody the chance to say anything.
Yeah.
Just go out there, and if anybody complains, I want it to be the fact that our fifth strings are scoring points, mm-hmm. because the team can't stop it, right? I don't want them to say that we didn't score enough, we didn't look good enough. I want top of the roster to the bottom of the roster to go out there, look good, hold shutouts, limit them to few points as possible.
Don't let them cross the 50.
Exactly. I think that's an important aspect of it. Go out there, make your highlight tape better.
And I think to your point, too, the last thing I'm going to add is you look across all these different rankings of football teams in the state, whether it be in division or in general. Massillon's ranked top 5 on pretty much all of them.
Yeah.
And not that rankings are necessarily important. What matters at the end of a season is how your season ended. But top 5 teams don't let teams like this hang around.
Yeah.
They put them away quick, they keep them away, and blow them out of the water.
Yeah, so that's what, there should be some kind of goal. There should be some kind of directive that they want to go out there and they want to accomplish, more than just a win, more than just playing well for yourself. Don't let them cross the 50. Don't let them score. Don't let them score in the first half. Don't give up a kickoff return past the 20. Go out there. I know we used to have that board. I completely forgot about this until just now. We had that board of the goals in the team room. And it had different, offense puts up so many points or so many yards. Defense holds them to so many points, so many yards. X amount of turnovers. Net punt, kickoff return. Different goals like that. So, go out there, and I don't know if they have something like that or not, if they have game-to-game goals, but it's not something we've really thought about. It was up there, and it's kind of like, did you meet the requirement or not? It's not. You weren't really thinking about that when you're out there, but, if you're somebody that's on kickoff, if you're a special teams guy, you don't play a whole lot in the starting rotation on offense or defense, but you play a lot of special teams, take it serious. Go out there. We used to take special teams really serious. And the guys on kickoff, they wanted to go down there and smack somebody. They wanted to hold people to the least amount of yards possible. Like, they took it serious. Not to say that we don't now, but things like that, go out there and take every aspect of the game serious. Set some kind of goal, even if it's your own goal. Just say, hey, guys, we're not going to let them cross the 20 on kickoffs. We're not going to let them cross 50. How much guys talk to each other out on the field, stuff like that. Like, hey, we're not going to let them score. We're not letting them score. So keep it up, So have some kind of goal, some kind of mission. Go out there, and more importantly, come off to a hot start. If nothing else, I want us to see us come out hot, and then if I have to, I'll say, oh, well, the competition wasn't great. We turned it off afterwards. I don't want to say that. Yeah. But don't come out slow. There's no excuse for coming out slow, because that just means that you're not respecting your opponent, and that's going to get you beat. If it's not this week, it will be a different week. So come out hot. Yeah. I got nothing else to add. Good teams win. Great teams cover. Great teams cover. Damn right. So, speaking of that, let's get into some spreads, boys, and see what's going on around, Stark County and a little college and NFL action, too. All right, let's get into it here. All right. So, the Holy War is at St. V this week. Okay. Hoban is favored by 24.5. 24.5. Haven't heard of St. V doing much. Hoban just now finally getting into their in-state series. Hoping to cover. I think so as well. Northwest minus 9.5 at Triway. Minus 9.5. Not a team I'm too familiar with this year, Triway. Northwest we've seen a couple of times throughout the year, but I don't remember what the outcomes were of their games. But Triway I don't recall seeing. Minus 9.5. On the road. 9 is an odd number. Triway 3. 3 is also an odd number. Triway covers. Okay. So here's one that we have had a lot of. Louisville at Glen Oak. Oh, God. Yeah. Just schlock fest. Start to finish on that one. Glen Oak's favored by 9.5. I'm making a plea to anybody out there that has access to this game film. I want to watch this. Delete it? No, I want to watch this so bad. There's some sick, twisted part of me that loves watching bad football, and this sounds like I will sit there with popcorn and,
get all cozy in a blanket, get some candles going, really set the mood, and just watch what I imagine is going to be 4 quarters of some of the worst football you can imagine.
I'm really mad at this spread because I wanted to pick Louisville to cover because I think they've been losing, but they've been putting up some points lately.
Yeah.
Was it Perry that didn't cover against them by half a point the other week? Infuriated me. And then I think did they play late? I don't know, but 9.5 is because I think Glen Oak's going to win.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Louisville's been putting up just enough points to not let it get out of hand.
So, I mean, Louisville.
I'm right there on 9, and I could go either way.
You know what? I need a dog somewhere. I'm going to take Louisville to cover, but I like Glen Oak straight up.
I think I agree with that, but it's just one of those things where, it could be a 6-point game and then Glen Oak scores at the end, or there could be a backdoor cover on this, but I have a feeling that spread's close. I mean, that's the whole point of a spread.
Yeah.
But that one's really just, if they would have said like Glen Oak 12, I think I'm taking the under, because 10 points.
Mm-hmm.
I think 10 might be the magic number. So I should take Glen Oak to cover if I think 10, but I'm going to go Louisville. I'm going with Louisville. I think they put up just enough.
They have just enough deceptive speed to not let the game, to not let the final score get away from them.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things like when we had Drew on, that Louisville has some decent talent. Mm-hmm. It's just they're just not putting together. Their offense isn't functioning great, but they've been putting up just enough. So I don't know. Perry minus 24 at Green.
Oh God. Only thing I know about Green is they've been just catching the hands left and right. So I'm taking Perry.
Yeah, I mean 24 for Perry means that their defense has to pretty much they got to stop Green pretty well, which Green hasn't been doing great. It's at Green. Don't think that matters too much. Green couldn't match with McKinley.
Because McKinley and Perry are so comparable.
Well, that's what I'm going with, is they couldn't match with McKinley.
Yeah.
But Perry's nothing like McKinley. And I was trying to think of who else they played and like what the scores were off the top of my head. Or at least like how big of a loss it was. Perry lost to Jackson in overtime. But Perry was kind of banged up that game. But I think their one player's out the whole year. I'm taking Green to cover.
All right.
I think it could be like 30 to 10.
Yeah, I can very much.
31-10, 20, like 31-10. Book it. That doesn't cover though, right?
No.
So I think 24 is a lot of points.
As soon as I said it, I'm like, wing T, 5 wide.
Clock's going to be moving.
Yeah. I'm changing it. Green covers, but Perry still kicks their asses.
McKinley is 15.5 point favorites at home against Jackson.
Perry's been on Perry. Ooh. McKinley's been on a heater, man.
They have.
After that.
Finally putting it together.
After that 0-4 stumble out the gate.
They lead the Fed right now.
Yeah. Took down, Lake was sitting at number 1 pretty nice there for a while.
Yeah.
Took them down, and they're getting hot at the right moment.
15.5.
I'll take McKinley. My voice is just going to shit right now.
It did. Yeah, I mean, I think Jackson played Perry tough and won. I think Jackson had man, he gets so caught up with all of these. Like, because the only time I look at this stuff is during the podcast each week. Mm-hmm. And then I briefly, like, either Friday night or Saturday morning, I go back and look at some of the spreads. But I look at 10 of them at once. Yeah. And I'm trying to remember them week over week. I think Jackson had a big win early in the year, but then kind of struggled. Had a big game against Perry. But 15.5 for McKinley. Yeah, I could see that. I'd like to know if McKinley is a decent kicker, an adequate kicker or not. But let's go with McKinley.
Attaboy.
Clemson, 20.5 at Boston College.
Clemson sucks. Boston covers.
Yeah, I think I picked Clemson last week just based on the fact of, they can't stink 2 weeks in a row, right? Like, sometimes these big programs, when they have a bad game, I think they pick it up the next week, but I think Clemson had back-to-back.
They got in a shootout with Wake Forest.
Yeah,
Boston College at least covers. The spirit, of Doug Flutie is going to possess them. And Boston College are going to put up a game against Clemson.
We got UDA minus 4.5 at UCLA.
UDA.
Yeah, it's Utah.
UDA.
UDA minus 4.5 at UCLA.
I was trying to think like University of Delaware.
UDA.
UDA
the state, but it's not a state school.
Right,
well, it might be a state school, but it doesn't have state in the name of the school.
What was the name of what was the spread?
UDA minus 4.5.
Minus 4.5.
Down at Los Angeles.
Down at Los Angeles. UDA. This is UDA, not Utah State.
No, just UDA.
UDA, the team that Ohio State played in the Rose Bowl last year, right?
Sounds right.
Yeah. Chip Kelly's on his last leg out there. Give me UDA.
UDA covers against UCLA. Tennessee minus 3.5 down in Baton Rouge.
Oh, playing the Tigers.
Yeah. Tennessee's on a little bit of a streak there,
Yeah,
playing well.
Tennessee's on a heater.
Minus 3.
I don't know much about LSU this year. I know they're slowly crawling out of the dumpster that they managed to dive headfirst into right after the Natty.
I don't know too much about them either, but I have no faith in their coach.
Oh, Brian Kelly. I can't say go Tigers until
weirdo.
Brian Kelly's out, so give me the other one.
I had no issue with Brian Kelly until he went to LSU and showed off how much of a weirdo he is, and there's no way it's going to work. There's no possible way.
No.
Unless he takes a step back, and it'd have to be a year removed. He'd have to start this upcoming offseason with, all right, guys, I came down here with the whole wrong mentality and everything. We're starting from scratch. If he has the ability to do that, all right, he might be able to pull something together. Otherwise,
that's not.
Doesn't sound like him. No.
So
doesn't sound like him at all.
He managed to scratch and claw them out of the dumpster that they dove headfirst into after the Natty, just to go find a bigger dumpster on fire to drag the rest of them into kicking and screaming.
Bama is 24-point favorites at home against Texas A&M. TAMU. Bama 24 against TAMU.
So TAMU gets the upset on Bama last year. TAMU's head coach makes some comments, then Nick Saban and him have a little back and forth during this offseason.
Yeah. Is this the game that I was told before the season started to hammer Bama no matter what it was? Take out a second mortgage?
Is going to have to explain why he scored so many points after this game.
I mean, I'd be fine with that. I have questions about the legitimacy of Bama this year, but I don't know anything about TAMU. So
TAMU lost to Appalachian State.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so Saban's gone. We knew that ahead of time,
Yeah.
so
Saban is going for the throat. They're going to empty the playbook. They are going to bury these cats.
not a bad time to have a statement game for them either. After
Bama might be going into this game how we said Massillon should go into Canisius. If TAMU gets any points at all, Saban is going to have an aneurysm.
Nick Saban covers. Georgia 30-point favorites at home against Auburn.
Oh, God. Auburn just fired their head coach, I think. Auburn's down bad. Down real bad.
Down bad boys.
They either just fired him or are going to fire him. I can't remember what.
I don't know. Wisconsin fired theirs.
Yeah. R.I.P. Paul Crust. Yeah, they are going to fire their head coach if something doesn't turn around soon. So, with that, nothing's going to turn around soon. The Dogs cover.
Yeah, it seems like the coaches that need things to turn around to save their jobs don't.
Yeah.
But as soon as they're gone, the interim has a hell of a game, and everybody's like, oh, yeah, firing him was the greatest thing ever. And it's like,
Well, that
Probably more to it than that, but
any interim head coach is just playing with house money.
yeah.
Like you're going for it on 4th and 16, and you're just going for that's a great decision right there. More teams should do this. No.
Michigan minus 22 at Indiana.
Indiana is sneaky good this year.
Michigan's not bad.
Or is it Illinois? I'm thinking of. Who's the sneaky? Who did Wisconsin drop it to?
Illinois has a very good defense, and when I was watching part of that game, I learned that they have the number 1 defense in college football over the last 12 months.
And that's Illinois?
Yes.
Okay. And they're playing Indiana?
They're playing Indiana.
So I'm just getting confused then. Okay. Midwestern states start with an I. Couple letters to those names. Easily confusable. Michigan needs a bit of a statement game here. After almost dropping it, or after a close one with Maryland. And then, who'd they play last week? Or was that Maryland I'm thinking of?
I don't know. I don't pay attention to that much. I know they've been winning. I know they're ranked highly now, but
yeah,
they're not. I mean, they're not a bad team, but
I think Michigan covers.
22 at Indiana. Okay, and then the Ohio State Buckeyes are 26.5-point favorites walking into Michigan State.
Michigan State
stinks.
Is on life support.
Everybody's been calling for the coach's head.
Yeah.
What, Tucker?
Yep. Mel Tucker, great name. Not a great coach, so it seems in the moment. Ohio State covers handily.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
And with that usually means we only have one spread left, right?
Correct.
So you told me this one before we started.
I forgot that I did, yeah.
But I will say I would have guessed Massillon minus 42. That guess would have been wrong. Robert, why don't you tell the people what the actual spread is?
Yeah, I mean, before I watched any film of them, I wouldn't have been able to guess this, but the local sharps have Massillon minus 46.
Minus 46.
Which that's a tough spread to cover, no matter who you're playing.
Yeah, that's a big one. Let me see what our boy Drew Pasteur has us at.
Go for it.
Ooh.
Camera got messed up at some point.
Oh, got a little slide over there.
Yep. But you were talking, so I just left it.
Fair enough. Drew Pasteur, Fantastic 50, D2, Region 7, Madison, Washington. Let's see here. He has us minus 40. So, I mean, once you get up to those big numbers, it's like
less accurate, for sure.
It might as well just say that's like the blowout equivalent of Massillon minus 0.5. Like, we're going to blow them out of the water, and at that point, it's a pick 'em.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, a 7 touchdown advantage is quite a spread.
So, I'd like to say we cover. I'm rooting for us to cover. I want to see us cover so bad we have to answer about it to the papers the next day. Do we? I don't know. Does this team have it in them?
Up to the team, really.
Yeah. Like I said, come out hot. Stay hot. I mean, we have the ability to cover, but football games are weird. That's how it goes. So, I don't know. I'm still picking Massillon W by, a country mile. I don't know if minus 46 is longer or shorter than a country mile, but
yeah.
That's all we got for the spreads.
That's the spreads.
You want to open up the Q&As? See what we got?
Yes, sirs.
All right.
Got a few of them. Okay, that was...
Came in off the top rope almost as soon as I sent that tweet, too. I was pretty proud of you guys. Like, oh my God, they pay attention.
All right, a question for BlackSwarm podcast to ponder. Considering everybody on the varsity squad, who would you be prepared to play at corner in a man-to-man situation against some of the top receivers that we would be likely to face? Like McKinley and Hoban both have receivers worth noting. Who would you want to be defending them man-to-man?
Our starting corners now. I mean, I'm not going to go and tell Trell, hey kid, I know you've been playing running back for the last 4 years, but let me teach you how cover 4 works.
Yeah, so I think my answer would be Welch.
Yeah.
He's physical. He seems comfortable playing man, press man. He is a little handsy, but I would rather, down after down, I'd rather my corner be a little bit over-aggressive, a little too physical. Because, well, for starters, the refs just, even if they do call like pass interferences, they call holding, they don't call them as much as you do them.
Damn right.
So you go out there and
do it till they call
do it 10 times, like you get called once or twice, but they're not calling it 10 times, right? So I'd rather you be a little over physical and a little extra handsy than softer and give up plays. I think Welch is just comfortable doing that. I've seen him do it quite a bit. So he also has the most experience in our secondary. So I think that's who I would pick to do it. And I think we will still play our normal defense.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't gotten into McKinley prep and definitely haven't even touched on Hoban whatsoever. But I think we just run our normal defenses or adjust for them how we would normally, I would say. I don't think we're following receivers around with corners too much.
No,
so
my impression of like just watching the highlights and just watching the games without really focusing on it, we keep it left and right corners.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason we do that, either there's no big threat receiver. You're saving the corner's legs from just running back and forth across the field, if nothing else.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's my answer is Welch. Most experience, has shown to be the most physical coverage guy, as in getting hands-on receivers and coverage. Also, I think he has a little bit more height and length than like Leewar does. So I think that's just another slight advantage of why I would go with him.
And with that, if we're playing man-to-man sticky coverage like that, we're not playing man-free. We almost never play cover one, like a base cover one. Whenever we go man, it's almost always to blitz. So that quarterback's not going to have time to drop back in the pocket, sit there, let his wide receivers work themselves open. I made the joke a couple episodes ago that Welch will bite on any and every double move you throw at him. That quarterback's not going to have time to throw the double move. So you want that physical, aggressive style in a corner. And as you've talked about before too, wide receivers don't like that.
Yeah.
You're not used to it. You don't really see it much. It's going to throw them off the game. So with that, I'm going Welch too. If you just got an absolute burner out there, I guess I'll take Lennox whenever he gets back. He's got experience out there playing corner.
Yeah.
But Lennox is my number 2, I should say.
I wonder if, like, of course theoretically you could. I wonder if Banks could be taught how to be just a press corner against, like, similar body typed receivers.
Yeah.
When you have matchup issues, could you teach him to go out there and play man with one leverage? Don't force him to go side to side kind of thing. So many times we've talked about football off air, daily. But like, when I would play corner, I would love to line up on the inside of receivers and just do not give them the option of running inside whatsoever. I would force them to run outside of me, and I would run with them. And, with that, obviously there's ways receivers can get advantages, but I wonder if you could take somebody like Banks who has that high-end speed that doesn't get talked about enough and just teach him how to, like, kind of press and trust and, like, just be a physical, big-bodied corner. It would have to be against, like, it wouldn't have to be against, but, like, I would use it when a team has another tall receiver, possession-type receiver, an extended tight end that causes matchup issues, stuff like that, where they're not shaking you off the line, really. They're not juke masters. They're not the nastiest route runners, but, they're big. They might have some speed to go with it. Like, it's probably not anything you'd really practice too much, but I'm just wondering how much would it take, because he's a good athlete.
Yeah.
He's a good basketball player. He's really fast. He's got the size. He knows how receivers play. Could you teach him, you don't have to teach him all the coverages and everything, just like, hey, can you go out there and, like, play man? Situationally. It's piqued my curiosity now.
I don't think I hate that as much as I should. But I don't think I've seen him play a lick of defense in his entire Massillon career. So I don't know how much I trust it. Just because it's like such a whole new world to him that, I'm not saying he can't do it if he gets reps at it. But
yeah.
What's the time invested to do it?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not something you just go out there and practice it, but I wonder how much practice it would take just to be a viable option in that scenario.
In an emergency, like, special, like, oh shit situation, I wouldn't hate it.
Go out there, be a dude.
East St. Louis, people forget how, like, we were down, like, 3 or 4 starters. A couple on offense, couple on defense. I remember Trey Morgan was out there playing Sam for a couple drives.
Yeah.
So, obviously, like, guys probably get reps at stuff that we don't see on game day, but I don't hate that as much as I should.
Yeah, I wouldn't, like, assume he would be a corner naturally, but as somebody that doesn't play defense, if I had to stick him out there, like, I feel like he could be a matchup eliminator.
Yeah.
It's also like situations you don't see very often. How many times do you see teams just throw a guy out on an island because he's a matchup nightmare? You don't see that in high school too much.
No,
right?
Almost never.
In the NFL, you can see things like that, trying to line up your tight ends against defensive backs that can't cover them or match up with them size-wise, or linebackers that can't run with them. In college, you can get in situations a little bit. Tight ends are not as much of a focal point in college as much as, like, with the NFL. But in high school, who knows, Like, you go back a couple years when Hoban had, like, Clark as a tight end. If they wanted to put him out wide, like, one-on-one. That's a tough ask for most defensive backs due to size. But
at that point, I'm going the St. Edge route, what they did to Banks down the stretch of cover 1, double 18.
Yeah.
Double the whatever player number he is. And just dedicating 2 guys to him. And also go the Belichick route of your second best corner, getting the press man double coverage, and then you put your best corner out on an island.
Yeah.
I think that one would take less, like, real world scenario, that would take less work to do. But
yeah, I agree.
Like I said, I don't hate Banks out there playing press as much as I should. I could just see him burying a cat off the line.
Yeah, he's physical when he wants to be. And, that's kind of what you'd be looking for. Just a little bit of a press off the line. Because you're pressing off the line, you're jamming off the line, but you're not. Most of the time, you're just doing that you get yourself in a better position. You are slowing up the receiver a little bit.
Throwing off the timing with the quarterback.
But it's not like you're trying to hold him in place so he can't run a route. Like, they still run routes, but You're just kind of disrupting the timing a little bit, getting him off his steps a little bit.
So within like the however many yards it is that you can be handsy with the receiver, how
Like
handsy
3 to
can you
5.
be? Can you pancake him?
Yes. You just can't hold.
I want to see Banks.
So
pancake.
the rules, as I believe, the rules for a receiver in a corner would be the same essentially.
Yeah.
You'd be blocking versus, but let's say like reversed, right? What a receiver can do on a run play is the same as what a corner can do on a pass play, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because let's say on a run play, the corner can throw the receiver out of the way to get off a block, right? You can grab him and throw him.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas on a pass play, you can't grab him and throw him because now that's defensive holding, like pass interference, etc. But you could block him the same way a receiver can block the corner. So yeah, if just as soon as that ball snapped, you want a two-hand shove him right in the chest, put him on his ass, you can. You just can't hold. Do anything you want, you just can't hold. Theoretically, you could sit there and block him off the line so he never releases at all. That doesn't happen because it's so difficult and you get handsy and you're going to get called out there if you're handsy. So, but yes, you can just go out there and pancake somebody. Why not?
All right, Banks, we're getting you time on the lineman sleds.
Just line up there, hit a cat. That would be cool. Put him out there against somebody that's not a bigger guy.
Yeah.
And just jam the hell out of a smaller receiver. And like he'd be so shook. Just shook.
Welcome to the Thunderdome, kid.
That'd be rough. But yeah, you can go out there. You can be as physical as you want. You just can't hold.
Yeah. I'll take it. So,
Shove him, punch him, just ride him out of bounds.
rock his absolute world.
Yeah.
Kind of on that note, put out like my fourth string punter and just, actually rock his world.
All right. Sean Payton, okay. Let me see. Oh, man. Let's see here. Somebody wants to know why we didn't do podcasts after the state title games.
You really want to see us that miserable and hungover talking about
I don't know.
Talking about like the dreams we just watched crumble in front of our eyes.
We were going to the one after the first one, right?
After the first open game?
Yeah. We sat down to do it where I was like, Hank, I don't want to do this.
Oh my God.
We went through the whole
forgot
thing
about that.
and you're like telling me we have to do it. And I was like, no, we don't. I have no contract. And you're like, Rob, let's just get it done and over with. I was like, I want nothing to do with talking about last night or 2 nights ago or whenever we were going to do it. I was like, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Why? Nobody wants to talk about this. Like, I don't have any insightful, it's like we weren't watching like film breakdowns or anything back then. Like, we weren't going to go through and tell you about why we think something happened, or like, it would have just been like weird ramblings about stuff we didn't want to relive.
Yeah.
In general, I don't want to do them after state championship games because, it is a sorrow time. You don't feel good about it. There are, you should feel good after a really good season. You won a lot of games. You made it all the way to state championship. Yes, almost anywhere except Massillon, right?
You know what?
You have 2 goals: beat McKinley, win states.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we do. Well, we haven't won states in a long time, but we're holding ourselves to that standard. Beat McKinley, win the state championship. That's it. Anything less than that, not great. You can come back the next season and be like, all right, if you said we'd make it to the regional championship, if you said we'd make it to week 15, I'd take that every time. It was a great season. But not in the moment.
No.
Right?
Not in the moment.
You need a little bit of time off.
Yeah.
All right. So that's why. We've also never really had anybody asking us for them. Like, hey, is your podcast coming out? Like, when's it coming out? Is it coming out tonight? Coming out tomorrow? It's like, no, we haven't. We get those every now and then, right? If we're late releasing one, we've never received one of those following a state championship game.
I forgot about that. We did sit down to do the first one. And I'm like, okay, we it's like I get so far in the routine and habit of like, okay, we got to get this done, especially because 90% of the time you never even want to do it in the first place. So I'm like, I got to fight you tooth and nail to get going. Mm-hmm. And then I think that moment of realization just hit me like, yeah, we don't actually have to talk about
we don't have to.
This last night fucking sucked. I don't want to talk about it either. So
yeah, it took you long enough, but you finally came to.
Yeah. I do want to touch on one thing, though, because after that game, I just remember there was some jackass so vocal on Twitter, like, oh, we should have did this, we should have did that. But one thing that stuck out to me is like, we should have just went 5 wide and threw it down the field on them all night. Like, motherfucker.
The first Tobin game? Well, if I remember correctly, where we ended up getting our success was running against them in the second half.
And also, we found
good matchups.
Their entire plan was don't let them throw the ball. 90% of their defense, they came out and played 2-man. Like, they weren't letting us throw the ball. So if we went 5 wide, we would have got our asses kicked even worse than we did that game.
Yeah, I mean, that's where we found our success. And, another quarter, another half of a quarter, and we get there.
I don't like going back to think about that game because that one was truly the closest one we got. You even go back as far as the Broyles interception that got called an incomplete. Was it completed?
A catch.
That got called a catch, not an interception.
An offensive catch.
The ball out of his hands midair. On the first review ever in Ohio high school football history, just the biggest. Like, you go back to that. You can go back to we should have just run the ball down their fucking throats in the first half. On the first drive, when Clark doesn't catch the wide ass open flat route on 3rd and short.
Oh yeah.
The fake punt where the guy motions to under center, and I think when you motion to under center, like, don't you need to give it a 1 count or something? That's not a motion, that's a shift, right? Somebody.
No. So I'm trying to think of this as a non-punt situation because it ended up wasn't. Though they do indicate things based on formation rather than the actual play type. So lining up in a kicking formation, that's why I forget what it is, but there's like certain penalties. Like defense, you're not allowed to line up specifically over this long snap or something, right?
Yeah.
But if he's a regular center, you can, which kind of is the issue with this play. But they'll be like, it's based on formation, not the play itself.
Okay.
So, but with that being said, motioning somebody, he doesn't have to come set when he's motioned. If he does come set, he has to wait a full second. So I guess that could get you. But if you're set long enough to get under center and get a snap, that's kind of a second.
Yeah.
People thought you couldn't do it. Like, you're not allowed to do that. It's just a weird rule because you can't line up over the center on a punt. So as you motion this guy in there, he quick snaps it, QB sneaks.
Yeah.
To a spot where you weren't allowed to line up defensively. Like, yeah, I mean, it's kind of cheating the system, but to the best of my knowledge, I don't think there's a rule against it. It just sucks.
Yeah, that is what it is. Like, you go back to so many points.
Hopefully your defense shifts when the guy gets under center really quick. I don't know. I mean, there may be a rule about it, or they may have added a rule about it, but I don't think so. I don't think there was, and I still don't think there is.
I don't know. If anybody out there actually knows that specific rule, hit us up. Like, let us know. But yeah, you go back to so many points in that game. It's like that was the closest we came. Because 2019, I mean, we came limping into that state championship. We slayed the Dragon. We beat Hoban in the regionals. We thought we had it won. But we had so many injuries, and defensively, we just couldn't stop
our front.
That offense.
Yeah, our front couldn't play with Sal.
No. So, it is what it is. And here we are, still chasing that Dragon.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's all Okay, I'm done reliving this stuff now.
All right, cool. Let's just move on then.
Yep.
Love the film breakdown. It's really insightful. Thank you.
Appreciate you guys. That's become my new favorite segment on here.
The film?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I wanted to do it because I wanted to break down film. I mean, I understand it is a podcast, so a lot of people listen at work. They listen in the car. You can't watch, but we try not to do the film too long. It has gotten away from us a few times because we enjoy it so much. so it does make it longer, and we understand if you're not skipping through on the podcast, like on the audio only, like, you know, it makes it seem like it's a really long podcast, might scare you away a little bit, but it's usually because the video is too long, so you can skip through. We put timestamps in for you. You should know this by now. I mean, if you do listen, we try to talk in ways to, you can at least listen to it, right? It's not completely just over your head. Maybe. I mean, I haven't tried listening to it myself, but
I don't go back and listen to any of our stuff.
Yeah, me neither do I. But you know, it's on YouTube, so go check it out. At least watch. If you watch just the film section, like,
and I think, like,
it's interesting. Some people enjoy it like this. So,
and I think, like, starting with Drew, and it's been a couple weeks, like, we tend to have at least insightful comments and stuff, not necessarily directly related to the film, like, while we're watching the film. So we do go off on tangents from time to time, and there is stuff worth listening to on that audio only portion.
Yeah, so I think you could listen just through the whole thing, even during the video. But if nothing else, go back and, you know, watch it on YouTube also. Yeah. So,
and also, like, subscribe and like it, so we see more that we're getting more than 15 views a week, and, you know, it's still worth our time to do.
Yeah. Let's see here. Hoping to see Lennox back soon. That should really give the opponent something else to deal with. I think. This is a separate sentence. So yeah, hopefully we get Lennox back soon. We've talked about that. I mean, It's something we've kind of forgotten about because he got hurt in week 2. But, you know, he's a dynamic player. He's insanely fast. He adds something else to our game. And yeah, I mean, the biggest thing I wanted going into this season was to be able to use him in ways that defenses have to account for him more. You know, I think Trell is Trell. He's one of the best running backs, you know, anywhere. So you're not looking to take carries away from him. I mean, yeah, you keep his legs fresh, obviously, but I think Lennox can add a different dynamic, and I think that was the point of this as well. So give the opponent something else to deal with. I think the week off, so week 9, will be a huge boost. What are your thoughts? Thinking back to when you played, would you have wanted to have week 9 off? I remember reading this when it first came through, and I put a little bit of thought into it. But
yeah,
I don't know. What's your take on having week 9 off?
So I didn't really start thinking about this, like, on the whole, until we got the question a few weeks back on what would you want your ideal schedule to look like. And it's like, yeah, you do want week 9 to be kind of a cupcake, kind of an easier thing. You don't want to get emotionally drained going into McKinley week.
Yep.
So that's why I said, you know, bring on Bishop Sycamore. Week 9 off, I don't know if I like that. I mean, I like the fact that we still have a team coming in. The JV team gets to play. However, the coaches need to find ways to keep the varsity engaged during that week. Going into that, you know, on the sideline, whatever, that's going to be a new challenge for them. Because, you know, they're kids. They're going to get bored. Like, we're here to play football, and they don't get to play football. At least, like, when the Canadian teams would come in, starters knew, like, hey, we got at least a drive or two that we got to play.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I necessarily like the week off as a whole, but I do like the idea of letting the starters, the varsity, like the kids that are gonna get a lot of playing time, get that rest, kind of get that extra, let their body take a breather going into the game. And to the last point of what I wanted a week off, when I played, I wouldn't have wanted a week off, but I would have absolutely loved to know that I'm playing on Friday night. That would have been sweet, besides putting my helmet on and standing on the sideline for 60 minutes.
Yeah, that is, that's one way to look at it. I was kind of thinking about it, and when it first came through, I was thinking that it may not have made much of a difference when we played. Having the week off, I mean, it gives some kids that are maybe a little banged up time to recover. It also limits the possibility of getting hurt that week. But you don't play football to avoid injuries.
Yeah.
You can't really account for that. They happen when they happen. You never know.
If you played football to avoid injuries, then you would never step on the field in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like, you don't coach football to avoid injuries either,
Yeah.
right? You go out there, you get stuff done, you take players out when it's acceptable, but you're not doing it. You don't sit kids because, what if they got hurt? Right?
You play smart. You don't play scared.
So I think there is that inherent benefit of just, no chance of somebody getting hurt in a game that you're not playing. Mm-hmm. You have some players that could rest up. I don't think that was really a factor when we played. I don't remember anybody being, like,
limping
hurt.
down the stretch.
Yeah. I think for us, it was better to have a Week 9 game because there were still plenty of things that you needed to work on, get better at. Mm-hmm. I think some of your more polished teams, Massillon's played so many games over the last 4 or 5 years, right? They have an extra year or two of experience.
Yeah.
I mean, over 5 years, not the individual players. But, we played an extra 15, 20 games.
So
in 4 years, so
2 real state championship runs, 1 COVID season state championship run, Final Four appearance, and a regional final. I mean, there's over 2 seasons in that, just postseason games.
Yeah, so I think the teams are a little bit more polished now than when we played. That also has to do with some overall coaching. But
which we've talked to death. Feel free to go back and listen to us shit on Jason Hall again.
So I think for us, we needed it. Needed the week of game, and it could be a cupcake because sometimes you want to go out there and work on your stuff, but you want it to work. You want to see the success of the plays, right? You don't want to go out there and struggle. You want to incorporate all the things you've been working on and watch them work. So that's the benefit of playing a lesser opponent. So I think, yes, I would want to play a game. I'd probably want it to be an easier opponent. And something I've talked about before is just there's so much going on during McKinley Week. So many events. If you're a captain, if you're a senior, you're doing stuff 6 days a week. I mean, like, starting on Sunday, you have stuff. Monday, you got Booster Club on Monday, Touchdown Club on Tuesday.
Team breakfast Wednesday.
Team breakfast on Wednesday. Sideliners on Friday. Parade and sideliners on Friday, and the rally on Friday. Thursday, there's probably something. Like, you got stuff every single day of the week that you're doing, and it's nice that you don't have much schoolwork, if any, during the week.
Yeah.
But there's just so much going on that it's not distracting. There's just a lot. So, yeah, you want to kind of come out of Week 9 feeling good, ready for Week 10 and everything that goes with it. So, yes, I would want to play a game Week 9. Yes, I would want it to be an easier team. It doesn't have to be Canada.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a team where you're favored by 50 points. But a team that you think you can have success working on your stuff with them. And now, like I said, now it might not be as big of a deal. If you have an older team, if you have an experienced team,
and
it changes things a little bit. I mean, right now we're kind of a younger team still, but
this just occurred to me. We do have experience with a bye week. 2020 with that COVID season, when they first expanded the playoffs, we had a bye week 1.
Yeah.
So this is not uncharted waters for the coaching staff.
Yeah, I mean, it also helps that it's going into McKinley.
Yeah.
It's not like you have a bye week going into Fitch or a bye week going into Gleno. I mean, different teams, but it's not as important as McKinley. You can go to the seniors tomorrow. You can go to the seniors the Saturday after Canisius, right, during walkthrough, and be like, hey, it's McKinley week. Weeks. Strap it up, right? We already know, like, the teams do, like, McKinley drills and stuff throughout the year. They like incorporating McKinley week into things all year long because it's an important thing all year long. So I think you can still get the kids engaged. You just have to reiterate that, hey, it's McKinley week now.
I think with that, too, is where it comes in being a coach, like being able to manage the kids. Because if you have 2 straight weeks of McKinley week, that's going to be emotionally draining in and of itself, like physically. Like you come in.
I would imagine it's a lighter workload.
Yeah.
On week 9, give them maybe like an extra day in shorts. But maybe a little bit more film, less physical. But
I mean, you know how it is. Like, okay, we got McKinley next. Like you come into practice, you're jacked up, you're ready to go. It's like it's Christmas time. You're ready to play right then and there. How are you going to handle that when McKinley's 2 weeks out?
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, you're building into it. I mean, what other option do you have? You can either tell the kids it's a week off, or you can tell them, like, we're getting ready for McKinley, right?
Yeah.
I think those are the only two options. You can't go into it saying, hey, we're getting ready for JV Canada Prep. Like, they're not going to be engaged at all. So
it's just how do you manage that extra week of Christmas time excitement, the jacked upness that everybody's going to have. So that's going to be a test. But like I said, it's not a bye week's not uncharted waters for us. Even if most of the kids playing now weren't necessarily varsity players or even old enough to be on the team at that point.
Yeah.
So the coach is going to have a little more experience with it, know how to manage them. It's going to be up to them a little bit, I think, to pull back the reins. Like, hey, let's tone it down a little bit. Like you said, okay, we're just going shells right now. A little more walkthroughs. Even just, I remember my senior year for Canada Week, it was like the Tuesday or Wednesday practice. Coach was like, Coach, Jesus Christ. Jason Hall came into the team room. He's like, yeah, we're actually going to go watch a movie. And we went and watched Taken 2. And that was our practice that night.
Yeah.
So something like that, like change it up, loosen it up,
have absolutely.
a little fun.
Yeah, breaking up the routine a little bit. I think that has a much bigger impact than people might think. For these kids that have been doing football 6 days a week since, I don't know.
Beginning of August?
When did they start? Yeah, doing camp days before that and everything. So, these kids have been doing football 6 days a week for months, right? No days off. So, mixing it up a little bit, giving them that one free day or just a relaxed day, like it really does have a big impact on them. So, yeah, maybe you have a day where it's like, hey, we're just going to really break down some McKinley film, like get into watch team, break into small groups, because, if you're watching film in a team setting for too long, like, you zone out.
You check out.
So break it down, get into small groups, whatever's, order a pizza, like, get with your position coach and just watch some film. Actually, like, really break it down. Say, hey, this player, like, get into the nuances of their game. Like, he really likes to do this. He has tells when he does this. Like, little things you notice when you just watch a lot.
Because, like,
and it's a day off, so.
And having another set of eyes on film is so helpful.
Absolutely. Like, you can't watch everything. There's no way.
You're not going to be able to see everything. Holy hell. Even the stuff you do watch, you don't know what you don't know. So you might not know stuff you're not picking up on. Like, when I watch film with you in the film room segment, you're pointing out stuff like, oh, this quarterback has a wonky throwing motion. Like, I wasn't watching that when I was grabbing this stuff for the show. Like, that's not something that stuck out to me. And then he said it, and it's like, looks like a mix of Peyton Manning and John Heisman. Like, yeah, it is funky. So it's like having that just different perspective on it is such a big help. And finding some ways to break up the monotony of it all. It's going to be interesting to see how this coming week goes. And it's going to be a test for the coaches. I think it's like it should be a fun challenge for them. Like, how do we manage this? It is and isn't uncharted waters at the same time, and that kind of stuff for me is like that's exciting. It's like it's new problem solving. It's like, okay, new challenges. Like, what are we going to do for this? So, yeah, I have nothing else to add on that one. Do we have any more questions tonight?
I think that was it. I think that's it.
If that's it, that's it. Like I said at the top of the show, like, if you think of something like right now while you're listening to the episode
for next week,
if you think of something in the future, before, like I said, we normally record on Tuesdays. Like, tonight just happened to be on a Wednesday. That's how our schedules fell. Just send us stuff to talk about, questions, comments, anything. Like,
yeah, the one thing that I really want to touch upon next week is kind of like activities for McKinley Week. Because by the time we get a McKinley one out, even if we start them early, like we have in the past, like it still comes out in the middle of the week, or early, there's activities that have already started or whatever. So I think we can talk about some of the upcoming activities next week. It gives us more time to maybe focus on individual things or the game itself, or just a more traditional podcast like this, and we kind of already got that out of the way, or whatever. I mean, there are some big things to talk about, like the tailgate.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fan favorite.
Gonna have a sponsorship this year.
Yes, a sponsored tailgate this year that you are cordially invited to.
Every one of you.
So,
you, dear listener.
Yeah, if you're listening to this, you should be coming to the tailgate.
North lot, halfway up the hill, on the edge. Big black bus, hard to miss. Lots of smoked meats.
Yeah, I mean, when we say it's sponsored, we're going to have a lot of food. Barbecue, meat, smoked overnight. Yeah, it's going to be, we'll get into it next week, but it's going to be an event, as it always is, but we didn't get to experience it 2 years ago. So it's been, 4 years since we've had a true home McKinley game tailgate.
It's been 2 years since I've had a McKinley game tailgate in person. Like,
you missed out last year.
I was on the other side of the world last year. I am itching to go, man.
So it's going to be a great time. We'll get into the details more, but yeah, send us anything you want to hear about. In general, we are sports fans. This is a sports podcast. I mean, we're not gonna touch on politics, but ask us questions about anything, and we'll try to talk about some stuff.
What, you don't want the show to crash and burn on week 9?
Not week 9. Maybe someday, but not week 9. Yeah, I mean, Ohio State, Browns. Hank's a Bengals fan. In general, we pay attention to the NFL quite a bit. So
I try and stay up to date with college football as a whole.
He does more than I don't pay attention to college that much. The first half of the season is kind of you got all these teams. The non-conference games, just throw it off for me. Once we get into more conference play, I watch the Ohio State games, but outside of that, I don't pay attention to college football as a whole. But we can talk about college football, talk about the Browns, the Bengals, the NFL in general, fantasy football, baseball, Cleveland Guardians.
You're the baseball guy.
Had a hell of a year. I follow it enough that I can talk about it. I don't watch many baseball games at all, but I pretty much get the box scores or the highlights of every game. I follow them on Twitter, so I see what happened each night. I follow sports personalities that talk about it. So, I mean, I can talk Cleveland baseball. So, I mean, it's a talkable event right now.
Yeah.
So, they went from projected last in the division to winning the division. It went a runaway, put up 90 wins. So, good for them. But Cavs season is coming up. Got 4 All-Stars on the team. That's exciting. We can talk about anything. So,
even outside of that, just whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be sports, but
guns, cooking, working out, outdoorsy stuff,
barbecuing meats,
smoking meats, DIY stuff,
how to fix the brakes on your car,
how to fix the brakes on your car, revamping a Beamer that you bought for $800 from a dude on Facebook and then leaving it to sit halfway done for 8 months.
I told you as soon as you help me throw that subframe back under there, I'll bolt it in. But
say the word.
Not tonight, but
no, absolutely not tonight. Just literally any time, say the word.
It's gonna suck because we're gonna have to, pulling it out was one thing, but pushing it back under is kind of different.
You don't say.
Yeah, pulling's easier than pushing, but all right. Yeah, if anybody wants to know the nuances of the BMW E46 body style and how to potentially convert it into a race car,
Rob's your guy.
Rob is your guy. Yeah.
So, with that, That's all I got tonight. You know, a lot of stuff coming down the pipe. But until then, we got Friday night to take care of. Go Tigers. Be Canisius.
Beat Canisius.